Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick rundown about what I'm expecting you to do today on this paper. So basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be exploring some discontinuities, and the way that you're going to do that is basically by looking at a couple different scenarios here and then just kind of saying what you see, okay? So you're going to go in, you're basically going to try to identify what you see, and then later you're going to see we're going to meet back together and talk about specifically what's going on in each of these instances, okay? So there's three different kind of smaller activities I want you to do. So the first one I want you to do is in Desmos, I want you to graph this function and make sure when you graph it, you put the denominator in parentheses that divides by the whole thing. And then look at your graph, kind of draw a quick little picture here just of what you see. It doesn't have to be super specific, just kind of what you see. And then answer these questions down here about, hey, what do you see is weird going on with that graph? And maybe even think about your vocabulary that you wrote down yesterday that might be able to pull in more specifics here. But just what do you see that's going on that seems a little weird? Okay, seems a little weird. Same thing with number two. In this instance, instead of graphing in Desmos, I'm actually giving you the graph so you can kind of look at it. And I want you to look at this and say, hey, is there something weird going on? And why would that be the case? Why would there be something weird going on? Think of the equation, right? And what would happen at that specific spot, why there might be something weird going on. And why, a big question I want you to answer with number two, why is this different than what's going on in number one? Okay, so you have to graph number one to kind of answer that. But why is what's going on number two so different than what's going on in number one? After those two, I want you to do number three here for me. Now, this is going to involve you graphing a piecewise function. This is something that normally students would do in Algebra 1. However, I know with the pandemic, we may not have gotten to this. So just to give you guys kind of a little rundown or a quick how to graph a piecewise function. What you're going to do is basically what this function means is that there's two rules for the function. When x is less than 2, you're going to go by the rule of x plus 1, and when x is greater than or equal to 2, you'll go by the rule negative 2x. So basically, if you are trying to figure out a point for 0, you would say, oh, 0 is less than 2, I'll put in x plus 1, whatever I get out, that's the point I'll plot. For negative 5, oh, that's less than 2, I'll plug that in here, just get a couple points and plot those. And then at anything greater than or equal to 2, your graph is going to do the negative 2x rule, right? So if I had 3, oh yeah, I'd plug that in down here, get that rule, and that's where my graph would go. At 2, same thing, plug that in, that's where my graph would go. And basically, you're going to see something weird happen with this graph as well, and I want you to describe what is happening, okay? After you think you have a pretty good description for each one, there's going to be another video for you to watch, and we'll kind of go over our conclusions there together, all right? So thank you all for watching, and then once you're done doing this, come back and we'll talk about the next part.